So sitting here, look, cooking.com recipe. Sitting here today, kind of learning this new Swift programming language provided by Apple. You know, a lot of their previous functions, their internal mechanisms, the life cycle and things like that of the different UI views, view controllers, things like that. It's all really kind of the same, except the syntax is a little more um, friendly. I come from a PHP background and then also from an ASP.NET background, so this has actually been fairly comfortable for me to learn. There's some weird things here and there, some casting kind of weirdness going on, and some weirdness with some of the delegates and how you kind of pull those together. Um, in general, it's not too bad, but I kind of wanted to go through it at least for myself and kind of know, be able to show kind of how the thing works through. I've got this first main view controller, and this kind of came with the project when I set it up as the main view controller, and it says view controller, and so that's my class is the view controller here. Well, just so you know, in the future, when you set up a view controller, when you click on that view controller that's there, the way that you set up the view controllers is first you've got to create a Swift file that it says a Swift file. It's kind of weird because when you add a Swift file, it comes with this as the as import foundation, not the UI kit, which this is just basically the set of classes that you import to utilize within it. Things like that. You can import a bunch of different classes for different things that you want to do, but the UI view controller class is in the UI kit. So when you add the Swift file that's inside of there, which I'll just go ahead and do it real quick and I'll show you. So I add another one. I've got another view that I have to add. So I'll add a Swift file here. And the view that I've got to add is a game over view. And I'll save that inside of this main group that's here, and I'll add it. Well, when it adds it, see, it adds it as an import foundation, and in order to be able to use this file or have this file refer over to a view controller that you add into your storyboard that's here. So I've got a bunch of view controllers that I've added onto the storyboard and a bunch of these, I don't even know what these are called, CGAs, I guess is what they're called. But anyways, this is just basically like this navigation or this sort of identifier that transitions from one screen to another. They call it a CGA. But anyways, so you've got the storyboard that's here, and I've got this game over Swift file. And if I go over to my storyboard now, and I know that I need to have another off of my add controller. So the way that the game works is you've got your game ID you enter it in. It has a little animation at the very beginning to tell you which round it is and when you're starting. And then the theory is that it would just cycle through a list of questions or a list of whatever. Then it shows you a round results screen for 5 seconds or whatever. And then you get a 15-second or 30-second whatever ad. And then it's going to just basically go in this cycle over and over and over again. Now the idea though is that when it gets to the 10th round, I need this game overview controller to start, and then that way they'll still be able to go back into the game and start a new game, but each game is only 10 rounds. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to be able to add um, a view controller to this. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now, and I don't remember exactly where it is. Hold on a second here. So I guess I'll just click on my storyboard maybe. Is that what I'm supposed to do here? I'm still sort of figuring this stuff out, guys. So just give me, help me. Looks like this is probably it. Yeah. Okay. So I had to add that onto there. I don't know. It's this interface is a little weird. Maybe I just got to get used to it or whatever. But anyways, so what I want is I want a view controller. So I'm gonna just say view. Well, it says view on there. So what am I doing wrong here? I need a view controller. So how do I, oh, there it is. Okay, so this is apparently, this tab is for for these controllers that are here. So I'm going to add a view controller, and I'm just going to bring it onto my screen here. And then I'm going to click on the view controller, and I'm going to edit some of the options for it, which I got to just kind of click around to remember exactly where everything is. But I'm tell it's a 5.5, so I'm kind of building this just right now for the 6 Plus iPhone. So I'm going to add this view controller over here. And so when I go over and I click on the view controller now, and I click this drop down, it's got my ad control, it's got my gameplay, it's got my round results inside of there because it recognizes classes that I've made for these other controllers that are inside of here that inherit from UI view controller. And until I create, so I'm going to go ahead and I'll click on this here, and I'll give it a storyboard ID of game over. And I guess that's kind of how it's supposed to go there. So anyways, I'll go over to here, and let me see if there's another. I think it's just adding that. So I'm going to go now over to my game over here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this, and I'm going to import the UI kit first. And then I can't, always remember the syntax here because I'm still sort of learning, but it's actually it's exactly like it is for .NET. So I'll just go ahead and add that, and it's going to complain because I've already got a class in my project called add controller, but I'm going to call this class game over. So now I've got a class inside of here called game over. So now I'm going to go back to my storyboard, and I'm going to click on that view controller that I had, and then I'm going to click this drop down. It's called custom class. It's here, and then now it's going to show me game over. So I'm going to click on game over, and now it renames the view controller here as game over. So I'll just go ahead and squeeze into there so you can kind of see it, kind of use it in the game controller. So once you get close enough into it, it allows you to be able to kind of, edit the deal. And you're supposed to actually be able to like lay out the screen inside of here. I don't think it's particularly helpful. It might be helpful specifically for just kind of getting the overall structure down, but I think when you're editing really detailed stuff, I don't think it really helps a great deal. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, so I'll just go ahead and I'm going to add a label over into this one here, and just to kind of say game over when they get to the end there. So click off of that, and I'll just expand that so that way that it can kind of span across the middle of the screen that's there. And I've got the game over. Now, now what I need to do is I need to kind of connect these two that are over here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to control click, and I'm going to drag it over to this view controller that's here. Or I'm not going to, rather. So that's weird. It won't let me. Maybe? Okay, maybe that's what I have to do there. So I'll just say show here. So now I've got this identifier, and I'll call this game over. And I'll just do it with a show. So in my ad now, in my ad controller, what I want to do is I want to give the ad controller a limit. And the ad controller, I basically pass from screen to screen to screen. Sorry for the background noise, by the way. I'm watching football, but it goes from screen to screen to screen, and it passes this variable over and over again. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. I had a phone call. I'll edit that later on, hopefully. Anyway, so what I was saying was that from each of these different views, so these view controllers, I'm passing a current round basically around each of the view controllers, because the ad controller is the last thing that the customer is going to see, or that the person's going to see, and then they'll see kind of a game over that's there. Is kind of, at least the way that I think that I'm doing it here. And so for each round here, what I'm going to do is I've got this one function called update, and it calls this self.performCGate with identifier, and I've got it calling gameplay, which gameplay is basically the very first screen that they see after they enter their code to find their game. So I call that update here. But what I want to do now is I want to, in this update function here, I'm going to check if current round is equal to And I'm just going to say for equal to 2 for right now because I don't want to go through 10 iterations of this before I'll edit this later on. If it's equal to 2, and I'm going to kind of pull down some of these timers and stuff like that too, so it's a little faster. But let me just go ahead and do that actually while we're saying, so that way you guys don't have to wait so long when I run this whole thing. But anyways, I'm going to check to see if the current round is round 2. Now, I don't do the actual update of the round until after I've called this. So this is going to call perform Seagate with identifier. I really hope I'm pronouncing the word Seagate correctly because it's going to be really annoying for anybody that actually knows how to really pronounce that word. Anyway, so after this perform with Seagate identifier, the life cycle of the view controller calls this prepare for Seagate. And so what I do is I test to see if the Seagate that I'm going to is called gameplay. And if it's called gameplay, then I add this destination view controller, and then I pass the round back over to it, and then add 1 to it there. So now what I want to do is that I want to add a different view controller here, and I'm going to test to see if the view controller that I am going to is going to the other view controller that I have. So I'm going to say Seagate identifier. If that is equal to, and we called that one game over, if that is equal to game over, then I don't really want to do anything. So I don't really actually have to really do anything on here unless I want to just pass some results or something like that. So for right now, what I'll do is I'll comment this out. That way that we just, sort of, if we have any logic that we need to add, we can add it there. But anyway, so I'm going to check to see, though, if current round is equal to 2. If current round's equal to 2, then I am going to go to the other. I'm going to perform the that other Seagate or whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to say here, and I'm going to put that inside of there, which means that if it's not equal to 2, then it's going to go back to gameplay. If it is equal to 2, then I want to go to the game over and show the game over. Now I did figure out a bunch of things. I did figure out timers here. I also figured out some light little animations and things like that. Anyways, it was kind of a lot of fun learning this. It only took me a couple of days. I actually had another little project that I was working on besides this here, so I didn't dedicate kind of the full 2 days. Plus, I got a lot of stuff going on. But I'm going to kind of go through this and see if it all works, and then I'm going to step through the code and kind of show kind of what I did and how I did it, and this may help somebody kind of build up an application just in case they're not kind of used to this thing. So I'm going to run this now, and it is building and running, and it should bring me back to my screen here. So my trivia app controller is what it's calling, and it's going up to the game ID, and I'm just going to pass in a game ID, and I said that if the state changed on it, just go ahead and add this join game. In theory, what I would do is I would take this code, this game ID, and I would go look it up on a feed somewhere. I actually am calling a feed from the internet to be able to see if I could do that. That way that I knew that I could at least check some JSON. But anyways. So I'm going to go ahead and join the game here. It's going to flip it over, and I had a little animation that was there. It's pretty quick, but it shows round 1, and then it says start, and I got a little fade in and fade out animation going on there. And in theory, so let's say that I'm just playing my game, and so I'm going to put like a little internal game mechanism going on this one screen here that just basically gets a list of questions, gets a list of answers. They choose the question, they choose the answer, the game checks it, syncs it up with the cloud, keeps their state, and then kind of rolls on to the next thing. So I'm going to click done here, and that done's going to show the round results. So I answered all my questions, and here are the round results for 5 seconds. And then it shows an ad for another 5 seconds. Now, while the current round is passing to the next one, and I got a little, I forgot to update the timer on that. It shouldn't be 15 seconds. It's not going to hurt anything, but the timer showing here is going to be wrong. So now it says round 2 starts. So now I'm going to answer my questions for round 2, and I'm going to click done. It's going to show my round 2 results for 5 seconds. Then it's going to flip and it's going to show my ad for 15 seconds. After it shows my ad, in theory here, unless I got it wrong. Actually, I may have gotten it wrong, but it should go to the other one. Okay, good. So it went to game over. So it checked to see if I was currently in round 2, and then it took me to game over. So that's all working kind of how I wanted. So let me kind of step through the code here and kind of show what I did. So I'm clicking on this view here, and I'm bringing up the view control. It's not very original as far as the naming is concerned, but this is just kind of the default one that it put up there. I could name that anything that I wanted, really. But I've got a start button or a game button, and I've got a game code field that's here, and I put some outlets, that's what they call them, outlets, onto here. So like if I wanted to make this an outlet, if I wanted to refer to this label here in code, I would just do a control click, and I would drag it over into here, and I'm going to drag it there, and I'm going to give this a name, and I'm going to say title label, and add that. And that adds it over to there. And now I can refer to that in code. So what I do is I check inside of here if the game ID is, I didn't do a lot of validation on this, just admittedly, because I was trying to learn how this thing actually works. But what I do is I get the game ID, and the very first thing is here's the view did load. So what I do is I start off by saying whenever the value changes on this field here, so I've got this function called value changed, whenever this value changed, I want to check for an available game. So I went out and I made a JSON call to this JSON file that's here. I put it inside of a string. I got a value out of the JSON file. I tested the value. So theoretically, this is right where my logic would reside to be able to check and see if the game was present inside of the system or not. And then I set the title of this game not found button to join game. So if the join game starts, then all of this has passed, and I know that at least my JSON request is successful, and I know that at very least I'm reading a value out of the JSON file, even though it's definitely going to have to change in the future. I just wanted to make sure that I could do all of those things, and it sort of performed how I was thinking it was supposed to perform. And I got some kind of helper functions that I found online to be able to get and parse the JSON files, and that actually made it a lot easier. And then I've got an action signed up to this button press that's here, and I call the perform CGA with identifier called gameplay. So I've got the one function that's here. This is the gameplay CGA that's here, and that goes over to the gameplay view controller. So now I'm going to go to the gameplay view controller, and I'm at very first I'm initializing this current round function to 1. I did pass the game. I did have a game ID that's over here. I've got a done button that's at the bottom down here. That'll obviously change. I've got a start a round and a start label that kind of I've called some animations on. So view did load is kind of this default lifecycle start function that's available that you can override, and you can you call super.viewDidLoad, which is the parent view or the parent function of the what is the base class, I guess is what you would call it in .NET. They call it a super class, I guess, but it would call it in like the base class of this viewDidLoad. So it's an override, and you're saying everything else that you would still do as when viewDidLoad call, go ahead and call that right now. So I call super.viewDidLoad, but then I say also run this extra stuff. So I print into the console the game ID in the current round. I change the round label based upon the current round, and I initialize it with 1, and I don't change it or pass it into it before to start off, so it's always going to start off with round 1, and I set that label that's there. I set a couple of timers that are here to basically say, like, in 1 second, I want you to show the round 1 animation, and so that shows the round 1. And then in 1.6 seconds, I want you to do the show start animation. So what I do is I show the round 1, and I'll just go ahead and play it real quick here so you can kind of see it. It's a little fast, but hopefully you'll be able to kind of catch it on the deal. What it does is it just shows the round 1, and then it fades out, and then it right afterwards fades in the start label and shows that for a second, and then that fades out. So here goes round 1. start, and then it fades out. And it actually is really smooth. It's really snappy. I probably would extend the durations just a tad bit to make it a little more pleasant on the eye. But in general, I just wanted to make sure that I knew how to kind of do the animations and stuff like that. So it's just a simple fade out. It'd be kind of cool to see if I can set other things like positioning and stuff like that and kind of move things around. That may be a little interesting. So anyways, I show the different labels. I hide the other label. And I press the done button. And when I press the done button, I called that answer given. And then I say go to round results. Now in general, I guess this wouldn't be called answer given. It would be like round over or something like that. And then it would go to round results. And then I perform the CGA with identifier for round results. And then I check to make sure that that identifier is round results. Now I didn't have to necessarily do this here, but I kind of felt that maybe there was other states or other views that I would want to go to, and I kind of need this conditional to make sure that I pass the right data to the right view based upon what I know is happening. So I just kind of did this anyways, but I wanted to pass the current round from this, from this view over to the round results that I'm passing it to. So this is where I take the current round and I pass it over to the current round, and that's kind of all that happens on that screen. On this screen here, starts off with the view did load, does the same sort of thing. It sets a timer, and I wanted to do two different timers. So one timer says that I want you to navigate over to, so I want you to navigate to the ad in 5 seconds. There's another one that's here that updates this label, that's label right here. And basically what I say that I want it to do is I want it to show, I want it to update the label as it counts down. So it does is it just takes the timer count, whatever it is, and it just changes the label to that for each count. So basically every 1 second, and I have this repeat set to true. So it's going to basically go over and over and over again until I tell it to stop. So there's that. And then afterwards, it's after the 5 seconds goes up, it just goes to show ad, same exact thing. I test to make sure that that's the CGA that I'm actually going to, and then I pass the current round over to the ad. After that, we go over to the ad. The ad slides up, and there's a couple of different transitions. This one kind of slides up from the bottom. I've got to learn the different, these different shows and pushes and flips and vertical flips and horizontal flips and all these different things over again. But anyways, I've got the ad that's here. Same sort of thing. The view did load is called. I've got the current round. I've got the timer counts. I set this one to 5, but I set this one to 15, so it kept ticking off over and over again. I'm going to set this to 5 now, so it'll just show for 5. But anyways, 5 seconds, it's going to do the update here, which means that after 5 seconds is over, which is intending that it's only a 5-second ad, it's going to perform the CGA. If it is round 2, it's going to go to game over. If it's not round 2, then it's going to go to gameplay. So basically, it's going to show round 1, and then it's going to go to round 2, and then at the end of round 2, it's going to go to gameplay. And then I did sort of the same thing here at this update label. I wanted this label to sort of count down. Theoretically, if this was a true kind of ad mechanism, I would go and make a call out to like an ad service, and then I would pull down an ad, and it would tell me whether that ad was a 15-second ad or a 30-second ad, or I may not even have, sort of the countdown there. I may use the state of the video that I'm playing to tell me how much longer it has, and that's where I would do the countdown from. Anyway, so then we call this perform CGA with identifier, either game over or gameplay. We only needed to really do one thing to gameplay, and that is to just basically take whatever the current round is and uptick it by 1, and then pass that back over to the gameplay. And so that will then pass round 2 throughout all of the controllers. And then I kind of showed you how to add this other view controller. And this view controller doesn't really have anything. Theoretically, I could show this for a couple of seconds and then take them back over to this main view controller here. So what I'll do is I'll run this one more time, just kind of show you how it functions again. And then we'll do another add CGA to kind of have this go back to the main page. So I click on that, I add in my code, I click the round one, start. So theoretically right here, I'm answering questions or whatever. The round's done, I'm gonna click done. It shows the round one results. Great, I'm winning. Takes you to add, shows that for 5 seconds. Now it should only show it for 5 seconds. And then it takes you to round two, start. I click done again, shows the round two results. Shows you the ad for 5 seconds, or for however many seconds we program into it, and then it tells you game over. So now here we'll add one more just to kind of show you, or so I can at least remember how this kind of works. So what we'll do is we'll go over to, we'll pinch this out a little bit here, and we're going to go to, I think it's supposed to go from here, so I'm going to control click and I'm going to go back over to this view controller. And I'm going to go to custom on this one here because I kind of think that maybe I shouldn't have done that. There should be a way to, like, I don't know, this, like, it came up, but it should go down too. So I guess, I don't know. I'm going to go to oh, this is deprecated. I'm going to go to replace and see what happens when I do that. I'm going to call this back to home. So then I'm just going to kind of copy my code that I did out of the other one. So I'll go to over to my ad controller that's here. Whoops, didn't mean to really do that. I'll go back over to my ad controller. I'll click on that, and I'll bring up my timer. And I'm not going to do anything other than just have this go back to the home screen. So I guess so. The first thing that I really need to do is I need to get a view did load on here, and I'm still struggling exactly how it's supposed to go, but I think it starts with override view did load. Oh, and there's my code. I guess that's where my code goes. I'm going to add my code there. Don't forget to call the superclass view did load. Whoops. Some of the short keys are a little weird in here. Auto completes or whatever. Okay, so I've got my super view did load, and now I've called a timer inside of there, so these hopefully should go away. I don't know why that's inside of there. I don't think I put that in there. Okay, so now I've got that. Now that's going to say, it's going to call update, so I'm going to add another function here called update. So function update, and then it's going to go there, and then I believe it's self perform CA with identifier. The identifier is called go to home. Sender should be self, and I think that's all I have to do. So after 5 seconds, this should call update, which should perform the CGA go to home. And if I did everything right, this guy should be called and should perform some type of animation to go back to here. And I'm hoping it's the one that I'm thinking of, because I kind of want that game over slide to go up and then come back down and reveal the home screen. Kind of makes it seem like it the way that it should be. So we go to round one, start, and I play my game, say done, round one results. That shows up for 5 seconds. We show the ad for 5 seconds. It tests, goes to round two because it hasn't hit the end of round two yet. Say done, go to round two, results, show the ad for 5 seconds. Now it should go to game over, and after 5 seconds, it should automatically go to the home page. And it doesn't, it blows up for some reason, and let's find out what reason that is. No CGA with identifier, go to home. Okay, so what did I do wrong? Let's go find out what I did wrong. So I'm going to go back over here, and I'm going to click on that. Oh, because I called it back to home. Okay, let's try that again. So I'm just going to call this go to home. And I'm going to save that, and let's rerun that. I gotta say also on the new Xcode, the it seems like the errors are a lot better. The errors before, when I was doing it before, I'm sure I would have figured it out, but they were really cryptic. And I guess for me, I just didn't. If it kind of knew what it was, I just didn't kind of see the reason for all of the all the really techie, code that's kind of telling me what's going on with the machine. So, and it blows up again. So why did it blow up again? No CGA with identifier. Go to home. All right, so it doesn't like what I did there, and I don't exactly know why. Theoretically, that should have worked. Oh, destination detail split. Okay, so this is probably not the right. Let me just say show here and do that, and let me see if that kind of fixes it. It's called go to home, go to home. That should work. So maybe because I was using, it said those were deprecated to this, so maybe that's kind of not supposed to be doing that. Start, great. Round one results. Hopefully this one will work. Shows the ad for 5 seconds. If this one doesn't work, then I'll play around with it and see what's going on, and then I'll bring you guys back to it. So done. Round two results. Shows the ad for 5 seconds. Game over. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom. So, that's not the visualization that I wanted. I kind of want the game over kind of comes up from underneath, and I kind of want the game over to slide back down and then reveal the home screen. So I'm gonna have to play around with that. Maybe I have to put like a custom CGA, I guess, inside of there to kind of tell the view to slide down and to reveal the other view that's there. But that's really it. That's what I've learned over, I guess, a day and a half of kind of playing around with this language. It seems to be really this is a little weird, but it helps me, I guess, visualize the overall application. I don't know if I'd like to program the whole entire thing like this, but hopefully I can do something a little. I can find something a little better to get in here. This is a really kind of small screen. I'm kind of putting my iPhone next to it, and it's actually, I mean, it's actually really close to, if not exactly, the size of the iPhone 6 screen. So it's only letting me get, that big because that's basically as big as it will get. So maybe I just kind of need to make a kind of a custom window here and sort of fit it in. Anyways, I'm rambling. Hope you learned something from this. I'm going to post this to the website. If you have any comments, questions, if you can tell me how to do something better, I'm sure that this timer function here to kind of, or actually the timer function over here to kind of show the, kind of go over here, gameplay, to kind of show this, show it for 1, then show it for 1.6, then add another one, then add another one. I was kind of wanting to make this selector just kind of run some code right here, but whatever. Maybe this is probably a little dirty. There's probably better ways to be able to do this, but I just don't know of them right now. So, anyways, thanks a whole lot. Talk to you later. Bye.